What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, let's talk about the 25 draft. Before we get into individual players, your first draft as a GM, harder or easier than you thought?
Uh, I didn't have much to compare it to. It was hard. It was drinking from a fire hose. I mean, there's a GIF that I kept sending people. How's it going? It's Peter Griffin with a fire hose up to his face, and his son turns it on, and when the water stops, it's just his skull and a bunch of blood dripping down his neck. But it was awesome. I mean, I loved it. I loved the collaboration with Pete and the coaching staff. Brandon Jurgen here did a great job. Our college scouts kind of dove headfirst into what I was asking them to do. And I feel good. I feel good about what we were able to accomplish in a short period of time, which I think, at least for me, and I know for our organization, brings us confidence that as we work together here with onboarding Brian Stark and Patch and Brandon Hunt and all these guys from really winning organizations, we can do we can do really great things here. Because to me, and I've said it many times, the draft, if you can win at the draft, if you can do better than the other teams of the draft, that's how you build a great team and then sustain it.
Well, I mean, one advantage you have getting this job is because of the Raiders' record last year, you're drafting high in this draft, and the other three teams in your division are drafting later. So, I mean, who knows how it's going to play out the next couple years? But right now, for this upcoming season, the next couple years, you have access to just players that they don't. Did you feel like tangible pressure just based on the division alone, and just know the daunting task that is ahead?
First of all, I hope this is the last time we pick in front of those guys. I don't want to pick up here anymore. But if given the opportunity to pick in the top 10, we've got to find an elite player, and we've got to find an elite person. And I think that kind of goes with any round, but there's a heightened energy to it when it's in the top 10. I mean, in my opinion, you better be greedy about the kind of player you're looking at, and greedy about the kind of competitor and person and passionate football player that you're looking for. And so we found that in Ashton, in our opinion. Some people maybe don't value the running back to a certain degree. I don't know. I didn't. We already alluded to. I went to Michigan. We value the hell out of those guys, and he's more importantly to me, he's a great kid. He was revered in that Boise State program because he treated people the right way and was a great running back. And he's been every bit of that since he's shown up here too. When you talk to people around, our building right now, the first thing they talk about with Ashton isn't how fast he is or the fact that, you can't get him on, he never falls over. It's that, man, is he humble, and he's a great worker and treats his teammates the right way.
Full disclosure, I was one of those people that just, when you look at the draft historically, right, taking a guy in a deep running back class. And listen, I'm a whack Mountain West guy. I revere Boise State, and his story speaks for itself. I mean, he turned down who knows how much money to stay at Boise State. The
Yep.
character, the you watch him on TV, it was like a video game. But I mean, I'm sure you guys had the conversation about balancing like the running back position. We could get a guy in different rounds, but in this individual draft, was it just like this guy's too good? And clearly, the quote unquote level of competition didn't phase you. I guess just the scouting process on this player, because when you were in Tampa, I remember watching an Oregon game, had to be like week 2. You were probably asleep because it was like 11:30 at night Pacific Standard Time, and he's rushing for like 700 yards. I mean, legitimately went for 200 yards against
Yep.
number one team in the country. Your scouting process when you were at Tampa, and how that translated into following him and vetting him before you pulled the trigger and made him a Raider.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm looking forward to out here on the West Coast is seeing all the games now, as
Oh
opposed to
yeah.
waking up on Sunday morning and checking box scores and being like, yeah, Ashton had 206 on Oregon last night, and I'd been asleep for 3 hours. You know, I to your question, it's about team building and what's the right way to do it. And we had many conversations because it was a deep running back class. Like, what's the best order to do this in? If we take Ashton here, who do we get in the second round? If we take this player here, then maybe we can come back in the second round getting running back. And this group of players, this position group, the more premier positions, edge rusher, tackle, they're going to probably be gone. ultimately, obviously, we decided that Ashton was worth it. And to me, it's the kind of person he is that elevated it finally. Like we can't turn down 28 yards short of Barry Sanders and a great humble person at 6. I mean, I'd I'd wake up I'd go to bed every Sunday night wondering what Ashton Jeanty did somewhere else in the NFL ultimately, um, if we didn't take him. And there was just a lot of motivation from the way that we saw it, the way that Pete wants to build a team, the way that, that Seattle franchise changed when Marshawn Lynch showed up. Now, I'm not saying he's Marshawn Lynch. I don't really do comparisons, but the idea of this kind of tone setter in the run game and the amount of times he's going to touch the ball really matters to our program.
When was a specific time that you felt comfortable in the process when you were the GM that like, okay, if he's there, we're gonna pull the trigger and take him? Was there a moment either at his pro day or sitting in the office with Pete a week before, and maybe you've talked about this already, but where you just obviously he was growing on you as you get to know the guy at the visits, the combine, but just like, okay, we have no problem pulling the trigger if he's sitting there for us at 6.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in using the entire process. So from the combine interview to the pro day that I went to, spoke with the head coach for quite a long time, watched Ashton move through that building. He came on his top 30 visit. He was great in the building. So it was just kind of like checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. And we had a lot of great visits with a lot of great guys, and we had a lot of great options out there. But as we talked about it and visited with the staff and explained the idea to ownership, it just became clear that if he was there, he was going to be our guy. He was the right kind of person for us at this moment, and for the way that we want to build this. And he's just been an achiever everywhere, and he's a passionate football guy. I mean, I think one of my two favorite things maybe about him are the fact that he didn't leave Boise. They were the ones that gave him the offer. He's a loyal guy. That to me, if you track those guys over the past couple of years that have done that, Quinion Mitchell was another one. They're the right kind of dude.
Drake
And
May.
yeah, they're the right kind of dude. And Graham Barton was that for us. And he could have gone to a lot of different places. He told us, and he's like, no, I'm gonna stay at Duke. Like they're the ones who believed in me. Like to me, like that stuff matters. And then the idea that he was playing as a freshman in Naples, Italy, and just dying to play football. So I found a place because his dad was, stationed over there as part of the Navy and playing against Naples, Italy. And then his dad, finishes his military career, and they're like, "Where should we go?" And they're like, "Let's go to Frisco, Texas, where the football's great. I want to compete against the best people in the country." I mean, that's who the kid is to his core. And so when it gets hard around here and hot around here, I don't see a kid that'll bat an eye. I see a kid that'll just buckle down and play.
Four of your next five picks after Genty were offense, two wide receivers, two offensive linemen. Are you just a purely let the board speak to me? Was there a need on offense at the skill position with the wide receivers? Just philosophically, is that just somewhat random and that's just how the board fell, or was that a emphasis going into the draft? Do we need a little more skill and definitely some guys in the trenches on offense?
Yeah, it really was how the board fell. I've made it no secret that I love linemen, and I know Pete does too. I mean, this game's about the trenches. But we have a great process that I learned in Tampa and have refined and added to the way we do it here. We stack everything from quality of player, quality of person, scout evaluation, coach evaluation, injury, character, and as the board goes, we just pull the top name off the board. And turns out that it was 5 or 6 guys were on offense. Still like how we came back on day 3 with Tonka and JJ Pegues, and guys are doing really well right now. So just tried to pick the best player for the Raiders every opportunity that we had.